Bruh.
That's right. Today's video is talking about the zero-sum discharge, or ZSD for short. Now, we're not here to compare how much damage ZSD does, or how the DPS compares to regular Switch gameplay. What we're here to talk about today is the monster exclusive matchups where ZSD is most prevalent in. Obviously, there are matchups where Sword and Axe mode are much better against certain monsters, but there are also some monsters where Sword and Axe mode are virtually unplayable and it's hard to even do damage at all. That's where ZSD spam comes into play, where you're allowed to keep up your damage and not feel as useless while the rest of your team whacks at a monster. Now for context, before Fatales came out, there were only a handful of monsters where Sword and Axe mode were basically unplayable, and thus had to resort to the cheesiness of ZSD spam, because said monsters had very little way of actually knocking you off of them with any of the moves they have. Now with Fatales coming out and giving us access to Tool Specialist Secret amongst all the other offensive skills, ZSD spam has become prevalent and more popular than ever before. However, for the sake of this video, I'm going to be going over all those old matchups about where the ZSD is strong and what parts of a monster you're going to want to latch onto to maximize your ZSD spam. First up on the list is Bracadios. Now, I know what you're thinking. Bracadios' best weak spot is on his head and on his arms, so you would think you would latch onto those areas and hit his arms with ZSDs. Well, not exactly. You see, Bracadios causes a lot of explosions near the front of his body, and that's going to eat through your Rocksteady and your Temporal Mantle like it's nothing. So the safest spot is actually on its tail. If you wound its tail, it's still a very good hit zone, and Bracadios has one move, only one move, that'll actually cause an explosion / damage over around the tail area. And he rarely does that unless you're in multiplayer, where its AI goes kinda crazy. So if you put on your mantles and start ZS spamming the tail, not only will you get a tail carve, you're also going to stay relatively safe, and your mantles are going to be maximized the full amount of time that they're actually going to be up. Therefore, ZSD is tail. If you want to go for the head and lose your mantles, that's on you, bud. Next monster on this list is everyone's favorite Elder Dragon, or Elder Unicorn, the Kirin. Now, the reason why we elect to ZSD spam Kirin is because there's only one good hit zone, and that's its horror. And Switch X swings wide, which means you're going to hit the body a lot, which is a bad hit zone. And it can also get lightning armor on it thanks to Kirin's stupid mechanic, and you're going to bounce, even if you're using sword mode. Well, you're not going to bounce in sword mode, but you get the idea. So basically, if you ZSD spam Kirin's head, you're going to lock it down super easily, and then Kirin becomes kind of a pushover. But just a reminder, if you're going to use the Rocksteady Mantle, please put on Paralysis Resistance. You may have Rocksteady on, you may not take a lot of damage or get knocked off Kirin, but it'll paralyze you still, and that'll knock you off, and then you're going to die. Real quick. And that brings us to our third monster, the Glavenus / Acidic Glavenus. Now don't worry, the Acidic Glavenus will be fought the exact same way. Just latch onto this Glavenus' back and the leg after wounding them, get your sword charge, and ZSD spam. You want a bunch of claggers? ZSD spam the back and get park breaks. You want to force trips for your team? ZSD the legs. Now, this matchup is actually an Axe mode matchup, and where you just perma-trip on the legs, but if you're not comfortable with the Glavenus matchup, you can just ZSD spam it, and it's not that big of a deal. That's why I put these two monsters here in the first place. Now, a reminder that the spots that I'm telling you to latch onto don't really have a lot of moves that knock you off of them, so that further maximizes your uptime of your mantles, and also allows you to actually latch onto them without a mantle, and still be relatively safe. Just keep that in mind. Remember, this is not a Bracadios. Do not latch onto the tail. You're gonna die. Moving on, we have my favorite monster in all of Iceborne, Namiel. I love this monster. Love the design, love the way the fight pans out, but I just actually hate fighting it or speedrunning it because there's so much RNG, and, well, let's not get into that anymore. We ZSD spam Namiel's head because that's the only good hit zone that it has. It's its head. The rest of its body sucks until it's dehydrated. Now, one thing to note, when you're fighting Namiel, you don't want to enrage it right away. You want to fight it for as long as possible while it's calm and not mad, because it has what we call a negative enrage modifier, meaning that you deal less damage when it's enraged. You want to wallbang it and get it mad as late as possible. Fight it for 30 to 40 seconds first, then wallbang it, then get it mad, then you can go about your business. That's going to maximize your damage against Nami. Kushala Daora. If only flash pods functioned as well as they did in low and high rank as they do in master rank, I would actually enjoy this fight. Nonetheless, use ZSD spam Kushala. You don't really have too much to fear, just wound its head and kind of go bananas. Just kind of be careful when you're using your Rocksteady, because if you're fighting a tempered Kushala like in the Celionic supply cache, you might literally just cart and kill yourself so much, because tempered Kushala Daora actually packs quite a bit of a punch. So just be careful when you're doing that, and just do your best to make sure it doesn't cause a lot of wind. That thing sucks. Velkhana is one of those easier Elder Dragons to manage because it has such a good hit zone on its head that you're going to do so much damage to it and just lock it down over and over and over. Now the reason we ZSD spam it is because Velkhana has the tendency to spaz and just jump around and fly everywhere, so making it very hard to hit it with sword and very hard to hitting it with the axe as well. So we ZSD spam to kind of cope with Velkhana's spazziness. There's not really much to it. Just latch on and go boom boom. Fun times. Lunastra is a bit of a hard one to handle, mainly in the fact that it does so much damage. Make sure that you bring a cool drink with you, because Lunastra's aura is really going to put a hampering on your HP, and just be careful about the blue flames. Temperamental doesn't save you from that. You're going to take a lot of damage from fighting those things, so honestly, this is one of the matchups where I really recommend messing around with your build to like try to get a couple medicine jewels in there, just so you can stay extra safe. Otherwise, just wound its head or wound its wings. Its wings is a better hit zone. Just wound one of them, clutch on, and hold on to dear life. Hopefully your teammates can knock it down for you. Well everyone, that wraps it up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this old school ZSD matchup chart. Remember, I'm going to leave the build for this video down in the description below if you guys are interested, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Let me know if you guys like this kind of content, and I will see you in the next video. Stay tuned for more updates. Have a good day.